So recently on our Facebook group, Diamond Painting DIY Kits and Completed Work, there was a question by one of the group members as to what to do with leftover beads. And I'm talking about these resins that we have, or you can call them drills or beads, that we have already used to complete our paintings. So obviously there should be enough left extra for you to do whatever you want to do with it. Otherwise, that would be scary if you have just the right amount of beads, because that means if you spill some or some kind of goes flying off your tray onto the floor and disappears into a black hole, then you're, screwed, because then you won't be able to complete your painting with the right colors. So this is what I do. This is for a recent kit that I've just completed, a pastel horse. And I no longer need these right now because I've finished the painting. So what I simply do, and I didn't even transfer them onto Ziploc baggies, which is what I normally do for bigger kits, because obviously for something that's as small as a 20 by 20 or 30 by 20, or in that case it was a 40 by 30, which to me is still fairly small, I usually go in just 2 sections and I complete one color at a time. So I don't use the Ziploc bags because it takes me just about 2 days or 3 days to complete that size of a canvas. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so that's why I have a lot of time to do all these diamond paintings. So what I do is, if I don't have them in Ziploc bags, which obviously makes it easier, is I simply fold this part, which is the opening part. I fold it over like this, and then I just get some tape and I seal it with some tape. And there you go. We're just making sure that you've still got the code on there. This is the number code, and then that's the DMC code, which is 995. That way, if you need to use it again for future projects, some tape, it's easy to just, take out from your container, your box, and whatnot. So I do these with every single one of these leftover beads. And I do that because you never know if you're going to need the exact same color for a next project, or hey, you might even want to do a completely different medium of a craft in the future. So there you go. So now, after you've done these and kind of sealed it up with some tape, what do you do with them now? So obviously, for some people who have the proper containers and organizers, you can put them in the proper drawers according to the DMC code. Some actually have portfolio, those types of folders where you keep baseball cards, like collector's items, and they just put them in there, so it's easier to find. I am not as organized as that, but this is what I do have, and it's the quickest way for me to be able to store these beads that I have left over from diamond painting projects, is I just have a box. This is a shoe box, and I've just obviously emptied it, and I have placed all of my beads in here. So I'm just going to transfer and, add on to the whole loot of all my diamond painting leftover beads. And obviously, when I'm running out of space, I'm going to have to start looking for another box or a bigger box to just put them in. And one day, when I do finally have the time, I will probably organize them all based on the DMC code, because I betcha I have about 5 or 6 of these same color DMC codes in different baggies. So obviously it would be better to kind of put them together. Although you got to be careful, because sometimes sellers don't have the exact same color for the same DMC code. So you'll just have to check before you transfer them all into one bag or one sort of compartment. So that's what I do with my leftover beads. Speaking of what to do with leftover beads, why don't we backtrack a little bit and talk about what we do with our beads so that they don't fall all over the place. So one way, here's another group member question on our Facebook page, and it is, how do you store your beads in a cheap way? How do you contain them while you're working on a diamond painting? So this is one example of what you can do, is to get one of these Ziploc baggies, right? And to simply transfer, after you've made a cut, is to transfer them onto the baggies, right? So simply transfer them on here, and then make sure that you've got the note, the label as to what code that bead is. So in this case, it is 3766, so just make a small label or a sticker and stick it there with the note for the DMC code, 3766. But the problem with these kinds of Ziploc bags is when you have them stored into like a container like this, is they end up doing this. They flop over, and then it makes it difficult for you to kind of look for the code because it's covered in the folded over Ziploc bag. So what one member in our group has suggested, which is an awesome tip, so shout out to Melanie Boone Clark all the way from New Zealand. She said what she found that was helpful was to basically cut some pieces of paper. So in this case, you can use some bond paper, notepad paper, whatever kind of paper, so long as it's stiff enough, like regular paper. Not tracing paper, because that too is also very floppy if you're going to have it stand upright. So just take bits of paper, keep folding it and cutting it until you've got just the right size for your Ziploc bag. So depending on what size of baggies you have, I have these regular size ones. I think these are 5 by 7 cm. I'm not too sure, but you can already see what it looks like, right? So this obviously would still be too big for this, so I might have to cut it one more time. So let's fold it over and then make that cut in the middle, and then check if this is good enough to fit into our Ziploc bag. And yes, it is perfecto. So now, instead of having to put a sticker label onto the Ziploc bag, or instead of having to cut more pieces of paper and then write the code on it and then tape it onto the Ziploc bag, here's a great thing to do, which Melanie also suggested, is to simply jot down the code onto the paper itself. So in this case, since we've transferred the code 3766, we're just gonna transfer that code onto this piece of paper. So just write down 3766, and I recommend you write it down as big as possible, but not so big that obviously it'll disappear once you put the beads in. So simply write that down and then transfer it onto the Ziploc bag like so, right? And now you've got your code, you've got the paper in there, and this is all in a resealable Ziploc container. But why did we put a piece of paper inside? This is so that it actually stays upright. As you can see, compared to a Ziploc bag without the paper, it'll flop over, right? But with the Ziploc bag and the paper, it actually stands upright. So it's easy for you to just kind of go through your coded Ziploc bags and look for the right code that you need. So either you put the DMC code or you put the DMC code together with the symbol if that makes it easier for you, but at least you've got that easy reference plus a baggie that doesn't flop over and kind of just gets jumbled all over the place. So thanks once again to Melanie Boone Clark for that awesome tip that she shared on our Facebook pages group, Diamond Painting DIY Kits and Completed Work. If you do like diamond paintings or you're very curious about the new craft, simply join us on our group, and you can also like Diamond Shop on Facebook. And just check out the links below on the description of this video, and I hope that you subscribe to my channel for more on diamond paintings. My name's Rana. Till next time, bye!